So in this segment, we're going to be discussing. Imagine if Bernie won the primaries and went against Trump. So I did see this interesting piece from the news agents because they did like a little what if series, and I enjoy the old what if series. I actually there's one I actually need to do. So I did say about 6 months ago I'll do one. So yeah, that'll be a project for this year. So let's have a listen.
Trump would have had to fight a very different election in 16. He would have not been able to be the populist, or at least he would not have been able to have a monopoly on populism. What we now know about the politics of the United States and our own politics over the last 10 years is that the 2008 crash unleashed forces of anger, discontent with the system as it is, and that the Democrats under Obama were seen not to prosecute properly. I mean, they literally didn't prosecute anyone responsible for the financial crisis, for example.
I think that's true. I think it did, especially in America, it did unleash a ton of anger, and I think people weren't sure where to aim that anger. And I think Trump in 2016 gave them something to, or groups of people to aim at. The racists, but also the idea that the forgotten man will never be forgotten again, and that kind of stuff. When you look at Hillary Clinton, a corporate candidate, really, who wouldn't have cared about the stuff going on in 2008. Someone who's very much in the pocket of big business. Not saying Trump isn't, because he 100% is, but he gave a really big lens to that anger. I think he gave people a way in to kind of focus on things. And Trump was talking about insourcing it, bringing back American manufacturing, which had gone massively under previous administrations, Bush, Bill Clinton, Obama. He very much gave people ammunition, and that was it. So I agree with that. It's a very, what Trump did in 2016, he changed, I think, the game of populism. It's the same thing with the Brexit referendum as well,
which created a toxin in politics. That energy was going somewhere. We now know it was going somewhere, and that it would be a winning energy. And what the Democrats did by nominating Hillary, and then Harris as well, most latterly, is allow Trump to have a monopoly on that anger and that populism. And if Bernie had been in the race, he wouldn't have had a monopoly on it.
And I agree with that, especially when you look at Hillary Clinton seen not as the incumbent, but basically that after Obama, and Kamala Harris definitely was. Sorry, my brain slipped for a second there. She was definitely seen as the incumbent because she was VP, and they just didn't get a lot done. And the problem is, when you don't get a lot done as VP or as kind of the incumbent candidate, you can get lit up for it, because you'll face the wrath of, how come we gave you 4 years, or we gave you 8 years, how come you didn't get much done? Bernie being an outsider really in kind of US politics in a sense, despite the fact that he caucuses with the Dems, I think he would have gotten away with that, because he did attack those former presidents for not doing enough. And so he would have had a leg to stand on. If Trump argued against kind of outsourcing and things like that, you can say, Trump, you get stuff manufactured in China. You hire illegal migrants in your own workplaces. The idea that you're going to do anything about illegal migration or anything like that is a complete joke, because you directly benefit from that. These are the arguments that should have been made against Trump both times, but weren't. And that was frustrating.
He would have had to, maybe Trump would have won anyway, but he would have had to fight a very different campaign than the one he fought against Hillary.
We cheated a bit. We put this question last week to James Carville,
all right,
who was Clinton's strategist.
Yeah.
We asked him his thoughts on this, and he just said, do you know the one word he said? Immigration. Bernie Sanders was always an advocate of immigration. He believed in its power to change America, to help the American economy. And actually, if you think back, the message that never changed from Trump, right from day one, was stopping the Mexicans coming over the border.
So what they're complaining is two different things. So one, obviously, there's what Americans see as legal immigration and illegal immigration, which isn't illegal because it's not illegal to claim asylum in a country, regardless of if your entrance is irregular, right? So, but I think Bernie could have combated that by saying, look, we're going to look at the way asylum is processed in this country. And things like that. Maybe they could have set up a asylum centre in countries where there's a lot of refugees coming from, and that could have been the same way kind of the UK has a problem with people crossing the English Channel. We could set up a processing centre in France. Maybe America could look at the countries where people are emigrating from south of the border and look at setting up processing centres there, so people don't have to make those perilous journeys and put their hands in the life of smugglers. But I think Bernie would have been able to combat that, because I think he would have gone back onto cost of living, back onto outsourcing, all of the, because if all Trump had was immigration, I don't think he would have won, especially when Trump benefited directly from people crossing the border into the US and working in places like his hotels illegally. There was a very easy win for Bernie. Sometimes Bernie does lack in the political astuteness, especially when he didn't hire the right team back against Biden. But I think that was his in there. And when you look at the fact that Trump couldn't push that against Biden, he couldn't use that argument of immigration against Biden. So I don't think immigration would have been the silver bullet for Trump. Not at all, not even close.
And he thinks that's where Bernie Sanders would have come a cropper. That, yeah, you can fight as the populist, you can fight as the outsider, you can fight as the person who doesn't like big business, but his anti-big business message would have had to be louder than Trump's anti-immigration message.
I think it would have been. And I think he could have. There are so many angles Biden could have gone on in that situation. So as long as Biden, so Bernie could have gone off on. So as long as he kept his brain there, he would have been okay. So I don't really buy that argument from Carville, whatever his name is. Another failure really when it comes to advising. But again, I'm a nobody, so you can't really cuss has-beens when you're a never-been. But I think Bernie would have had that one in the bag. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of this kind of what-if scenario? Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.